Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance podcast. I'm Ron Tate, and with me is
Isabel Tate. I thought you almost forgot the name of the podcast then.
no.
Okay, good.
And today we're talking to Emma Rose Parsons, who is going to be doing a little bit of a run. We'll get into the details a bit further, but hello, Emma Rose. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Just a little
I think we'll call you Em from now on.
Yes.
But I did want to
Totally fine.
properly to start with. We do actually know you as M though.
Yes.
I kind of answer to anything these days, you know.
For you.
Oi, oi.
So, firstly, Em, we know you from running, obviously, but let the listeners know kind of how you got into running and what it is that you love about running.
Oh, goodness. All right. So I got into running in my early 20s, unless you can count when I was 3 or so 4, and I used to chase after my brother up and down the street in my wellies, in my gumboots. I don't think that really counts. So I got into like actual running in my early 20s when I was having a bit of a mental health slump, and one of my girlfriends said to me, right, that's it, enough moping around. And let's meet at the Warrandyte Bridge at 6 o'clock in the morning, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we just started from scratch. So it was like 100 meters on, 100 meters off. And we'd just kind of go for half an hour and we'd talk and solve the world's problems while we were running along. And
what
then,
a great friend, can I say? What a great friend.
Oh, good. Look, she's still great. Actually, there were 2 of them, and they are still my 2 closest friends to this point. So yeah, great friends. And so, yeah, I guess we would do that in lieu of perhaps going out for a glass of wine. We would go and do these runs. Anywho, so those runs just got gradually longer and longer and longer, and until I did my first ultra, was the Upstream Challenge before we had kids. And then I had kids and found that amazing, but also really socially isolating. And so then I started putting the kids in a stroller, in a pram, and running along the Mullum Creek with my double pram and my kids with their snacks and my dog. And then until the kids were old enough that I could run without them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what drew you to ultras, to the longer distance?
The snacks.
I was going to say it's the food, isn't it?
You know what?
Those mint Cliff Bars.
Mint Cliff Bars, man. I didn't start with mint Cliff Bars, but I'm also not into the egg and bacon. I can't do it. I could do it, but I can't. The egg and bacon McMuffin.
Egg and bacon McMuffin rules.
Oh man, those things are so bizarre. Anyway, what got me into ultras? I don't know. I think that ultra running in so many ways is the weirdest sport, in that it's an individual sport that is so far from being an individual sport, right? Like, it's an individual pursuit that is part of the most incredible group of people, the camaraderie, the friendship, the teamwork of ultra running is so weird, given that it's an individual thing, you know? So I think that kind of rhythm and that role of that group of people is very persuasive in getting you to keep doing more crazy things.
100%.
Yeah,
Very
enablers, I call them.
We met you, well, majorly for the first time when you helped us out with one of Isabel's long runs.
Yeah, that was a really long run.
Yeah,
it was a very long one. You paced me and you ended up doing 100 Ks. Well,
I know, I was like a kilometre short of 100 Ks. I'm never going to forget it.
I know, you'll never get over that.
I am one of those people who has to do laps of my front yard if I haven't got to a round number in my Strava.
Every time we do a run with like 9.87 kilometers, I'm like, we've got to send that to M. So anyway, you're planning a 170-kilometer run, Mountain to Melbourne. And so you're doing it to raise funds. Did you want to talk about, firstly, we will talk about then why you're raising funds and what for? Could you maybe explain that for the listeners?
Sure. So I guess the background is I'm a psychologist that works mostly in pediatrics. So I work mostly with kids and families and teenagers. And at one of my offices, my clinic, the one I'm seeing in right now, it's Pediatric Health Collective. I work alongside some amazing pediatricians. And one of the pediatricians and I were having a chat one day, and we were talking about the fact that there's some really amazing events that raise money for the Royal Children's, and it's fantastic. However, there are not as many events that raise money for our local pediatric units. And so often, if you have a broken arm or whatever, you would go to your closest hospital, your closest emergency department. And our closest are the 3 Eastern Health hospitals. So that's the Angliss, the Maroondah and the Box Hill hospitals, which all have, emergency departments for kids, and they have wards for kids. But they just don't have the extra money from fundraisers like this, like the Royal Children's do. And so what that means is they don't have money that they can spend on extra stuff that makes going to hospital more manageable for kids. So the whole idea behind this crazy little run is to try and raise as much money as we can to essentially buy equipment that's going to reduce fear, reduce pain, reduce the overwhelm that children would have when they're having to go to emergency.
Wow, that's awesome. That's brilliant. Good for you. And for seeing the need there, because there really is. And so obviously to do that, you're doing this big run and you're visiting the hospitals on the way. Mm-hmm. So it's called Mountain for the Australians amongst us. Mountain to Melbourne. What's the mountain that you're starting on?
Lake Mountain. So up behind Marysville, start at the top of Lake Mountain. It's a really pretty place to start and to run through. And then from there, travel to Warburton, and then Warburton Trail to top of Mount Evelyn, then down into Lilydale, and then straight across to the Angliss. From there to Maroondah Hospital, from Maroondah Hospital to Box Hill Hospital back on the bike path, and then continue on until I get into sort of Flinders Street Station, Fed Square area, and then call it done.
Awesome. And for a total of?
For a total of 170 kilometres, some of which I'm making you run with me.
I am. I'm going to do some of it.
Payback time.
But, it's going to be easy because it's all downhill.
Oh, my gosh. Sure. So easy.
So easy. What are you
so much about? Pavement. Oh, my golly.
I know. The pavement.
I'm not a real fan.
No.
That's right. Once you get past Mount Evelyn, it's pretty much all concrete and pavement.
Yeah. There's a solid sort of 70 Ks of just pavement.
Yeah. So what are you doing to train for this? Other than running, obviously.
Running a lot. Oh, look, I do a couple of sessions a week of PT with an amazing trainer called Simone at Miss Intensity, and then I'm running 6 days a week. So that 6 days is a combination of speed work, long runs, cruisy runs, a bit of everything. I did a backyard ultra on Friday just to try and vary up my training a little bit, to give me something different to do.
And I did see that on socials. How far did you get with that? I forgot.
I just did the 7 yards.
Yeah.
So 7 yards was 47.5 Ks. I have to say it was really, really close to me just going out and doing another 2.5 Ks just to ride it up to 50, but I didn't.
What was great?
I know, I'm so good, right? And then some friends and I are going to run Oxfam on the 1st of March. So that'll be my last long run.
Yeah.
And then I'll do one more 70.
And sort of with Oxfam, are you planning that as a cruisy pace, or are you girls going to be pushing it?
No, I think we'll just be cruising it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not one that we need to do at a fast pace. We'll just get it done, and I just don't want to come out of that injured, really.
100%.
Certainly not an A race. It's certainly a fun way to get a long training run in, really.
It's a really fun course too.
It is a great course. We loved it last year.
We did.
And with good friends, right? Like, I mean, it's always easier running with good friends. So I get to run with 4 of my or 3 other absolutely gorgeous running friends. So that makes life a bit easier.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. And how are you raising the funds? What method are you
It's not easy.
She's carrying a hat with her.
They're quite heavy, actually.
Especially 20 cents at a time.
Yeah. Look, what I'm doing is I'm asking individuals to sponsor me 10 cents a kilometre. So it's $17, and businesses, if they can, $1 a kilometre, so 170. I'm hoping to get a couple of more major sponsors as well if I can, and that all goes directly into Eastern Health. So there's a link or a QR code that I've just popped on a website, and it'll take you straight to the page where you can put money in, and it goes straight to the Eastern Health Foundation. Yeah,
I'll put the link in the show notes. So if you're running along listening now, go back to the show notes later and help Emma out with this very worthy cause.
Yeah.
Did you have another question?
Just basically, how are you getting from the hospitals? Are you following bike paths, or are you just kind of taking roads? Like, because how do you link those hospitals up?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of everything, to be honest, because I'm also really aware that by the time I've hit Mount Ev, I've already done a solid 100 Ks overnight. So the likelihood of me being really tired is really high. And I may be not only tired, but super uncomfortable, because I've also said if I get over $30,000, I'll run the whole thing in a tutu, which I'm now kind of regretting my life choices twice.
The chain?
Can you imagine? It's going to be so comfortable. So by the time I hit the first hospital, the Angliss, I'm going to be super duper tired. It's not my best state to be in, and possibly pretty physically uncomfortable, not only from running that far, but also from potentially wearing a tutu if I get that. So what I was thinking about is I'd actually originally created a different course that had me going straight up Whitehorse Road. And then I've had a bit of a moment where I went, this is actually not that safe, because I think that far into a run, you're not cognitively as much there. And you don't have the same ability to make fast decisions and, whatnot. So having that many road crossings, I just didn't feel that was going to be that safe. So recalculated a little bit and got me back onto the bike path as quickly as I can after Box Hill. So there will be a little bit of road crossing here and there. And that's one of the reasons why I've asked very, very sweetly to have some supports crew and some pacers, just to help make sure that some of those road crossings are a little safer, and then to get back onto bike path as soon as I can.
And are you hoping to hit the hospitals throughout the day, like at certain times throughout the day?
Yeah, look, you know what it's like. It's not always that easy run to be 100% on timings. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen
just
overnight.
Guesstimating. Yeah.
So I can guesstimate, but trying to get there in sort of working hours so that people can pop out and say hi. Super excited that I'm going to have some of the staff from Eastern Health do some sections of the run as well.
Oh, awesome.
Really cool. Yeah. So some of the doctors who work at the 3 hospitals are going to come and do some shifts, some little stints, some between the hospitals, some at the start, some at the end, and whatnot. So that'll be really cool, and to be able to see, firsthand, this is the hospital where these funds are going to go to, and the sensory equipment for here and the medical equipment for this particular. I think it makes it more real. I think it helps to make it more connected to what we're actually trying to do, rather than just, someone's running off into the distance.
Yeah. So you've actually organised with the hospitals that you'll come, and they know the approximate times and that.
Yeah. Yep. So I've sort of said, look, this is roughly what I'm aiming for. And I'm really, really hoping, let's put it out there into the world, that a tracking device is going to come my way at some point so that I can be tracked as I'm going along. Anyone out there who's, a tracking company, feel free to give me a holler. So that people can say, oh, look, she's really far off, or she's ahead of time, or she's right on schedule, and we'll be able to sort of know when I'm nearly there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can lace
that sounds really good. So logistically, what are you doing for like crew and paces and all that sort of stuff?
Well, it's a great question. I am having not done something of this sort of length of time and distance. It's a bit of a learning curve. So I've started off with just a little, office word table that I'm currently kind of rolling with approximate times I'm hoping to be places and hoping to just have a car essentially that will have my stuff in it that can sort of stop every few Ks, and I can meet them for a drink or a change of clothes if I need it, or a change of shoes if I need it, and some snacks, as well as having ideally 1 or 2 paces with me the whole time, just to kind of keep me out of my head a little bit.
I'm in the group chat with that. It looks like you've got a lot of paces.
Well, a lot of people who are really keen to run bits of it. Some are people who have never run an ultra before. They're people who are running, because it's close to their heart, and most of which are probably hospital staff or friends who are really keen to do, 5 or 10 Ks. And then I'm really grateful that I've got some people who've done ultras before and can sort of also know that sometimes what you say when you're running that really far may not be coherent, and what you're thinking may not really make sense. And when you say one thing,
and can I just say, also your social filter goes away.
Yes. And you start talking about things like poo and
inappropriate things, and you might burp, and you might other charming things.
Yeah, I know, right?
We just warn the non-ultras.
We do kind of throw our dignity out the window.
Precisely. So just as long as they're aware of that.
Well, if they're not, they're going to be pretty soon, I think.
They'll get to meet the real M.
They'll get to know the real M. So hopefully they can understand it in the context in which it is, and they can see that I've taken my professional hat on and put my long distance runner's hat on, which are slightly different things. But also really grateful just to have some people who been there, out there, done that before, and also can who know me well enough, right, to be able to say, hey, actually, no, you really do need to eat something. Get this in you. It's not really a negotiation. Or you're feeling really sick, right? Here's some ginger, and now get some food in. Or actually, no, hang on a sec. That isn't something that I think is a typical M thing to do. We need to just stop for a second and reassess what's actually happening here, because I do think when you're running that far, things don't always go to plan, and having people who know you well enough to kind of know whether that's a usual thing or not is actually really important, from a sort of a health and safety perspective, I guess, too.
So who's driving the crew car?
There's going to be shifts, essentially, because it's going to be more than 24 hours. And some people have put their hand up and said that they're very happy to do shifts. So I'm really grateful. I've got sort of 3 probably guys who've said, look, we're really happy to take a shift, including my husband, who's he didn't really put his hand up. I just put his hand up.
Absolutely.
And then I've just got some other friends who've done this kind of thing before, and who are happy just to chill and relax. I'm very lucky in that my osteo's also put her hand up and said she's happy to be available for the Friday to just check that physically my body's holding up all right, and get an elbow into my ITB if needed, and those sorts of things. And then selection of friends and people like you guys who have put your hands up and sort of said they're happy to do a run stint or a bit of crewing or whatever. So it might change a little bit between now and then, because everyone's sort of life happens between now and then, but I do feel ridiculously lucky to have people who are happy to go, this is a silly idea, we're in.
and that's what I find with the big runs that I did. I was just amazed that people were actually willing to give up their time. How cool is that? But
it's really fun. I actually found crewing for you, I enjoyed it. It was quite fun getting your Cliff Bars and rolling them up into teeny tiny little balls and force feeding them into you. I found that quite amusing.
I hated you then.
I know you hated me. I didn't really care. I loved the saga of trying to get the jolly fairy lights to get enough light on the solar thing as the day was going on, only to not use them at all at night time. I find the camaraderie of just, chatting to Ron and chatting to Steve and just having the chats along the way really fun. I think there is actually, it's quite wonderful to be part of seeing someone do something cool, right?
And Steve, who you met on my run, is actually going to be helping you as well, isn't he?
Yes, I know. He's a sucker for punishment, that one.
He is. He absolutely is. Yeah.
Put his hand up again. Yep. And I've got the lovely Stephen Beck from Lilydale Running Company are going to help, particularly with that first night section of getting up and over Strickland Spur, because you know, some people are really good at the sort of the navigating and that kind of thing. And anytime I don't have to think, it's going to just be helpful to not have to use any energy up in things that, you know, if I'm not having to navigate concurrently, then that's just one less thing to think about.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Your sign's gone funny. There we go. What happened there?
My sound went funny. I don't know.
Yeah, it was buzzing. Anyway,
I'm back.
sorry. Yes, because thinking requires,
That's okay.
thinking uses up so much energy. It truly does. And so the less you need to do, if you can just run on autopilot with someone for you, absolutely, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, prior to that, I'll have to figure out nutrition plans and then be prepared to throw it all out the window. It reminds me a lot of like my labor plans when I was having my children. It's like, oh, I want this natural birth and it's going to look like this. And I remember
the drugs.
I remember it all just going straight out the window, you know. Okay, ignore everything I just said.
Yeah. So we didn't actually talk. What are the dates? Did you want to let people know?
The dates are, so starting at the top of Lake Mountain, 5 o'clock on Thursday night, the 18th of April. And then running all night, run it all day, and hopefully be done in Fed Square around 7-ish, I'm guessing, on Friday the 19th of April.
Awesome. And that's great. And we'll have a bottle of champagne there and you'll be up for that, won't you?
As long as you call it electrolytes, and I may or may not throw it back at you.
Probably will.
Oh dear, I think at that point I'll just be really looking forward to a shower and a lay down. You know, yeah.
And April's a good time of year to be doing it because, like, you shouldn't be faced with too much hot weather, and hopefully it's nothing too cold either. So I think
I don't mind the cold. The hot will absolutely throw me, but I don't mind the cold. But I guess this is a thing with ultra running. You just can't, you know, you can't prepare. And I guess that's a little bit of a mirror to life, right? Like you can't prepare for everything. And sometimes you just have to be able to roll with the discomfort and roll with, you can only plan what you can plan. It kind of feels like a pretty similar journey to what a lot of the kids go on when they go in hospital. They don't really know what's going to happen. You know, it's kind of an interesting little parallel.
Yeah. Which I always find ultra running is like a metaphor for life, you know, and so many life situations that you can see, you know, it's a similar sort of mentality that you need to have. Saying that, I mean, just in your crew car, you just have the 60 million different layers of clothing that you may potentially need.
Yeah.
So and the sunscreen, because you don't know which one it'll be because you're in Melbourne.
That's right, and boxes full of food that as soon as you think about it will make you ill.
Yes.
And that's it, that like the humble Vegemite sandwich, right? Like some days you're like, oh my gosh, that's delicious. And other days you're like, get that away from me. I think one of my reliables is the simple banana
muffin. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, I just can't. And that day you brought with you that disgusting looking avocado wrap. Like what was that? It's so brown and so gross. Like that is foul, and I think you put it in your mouth and immediately spat it out really fast.
It was visually, aesthetically, and taste displeasing.
Look, I found two things that work for me really reliably. One is like sodi, just from electrolytes without sugar.
Love it.
Oh, it's so good, right? And just because I really can't tolerate sugar. When I'm running like that, it just makes my stomach rot and I feel gross. So I find that gets me the electrolytes in without getting me the spewy feeling. And if the spewy thing comes on, those gins are gold.
Yes.
And the other thing is I've been experimenting recently, which is another, you know, a little side note, is that Rome. I don't know if you guys have tried it. It's like essentially just nuts and they smush it. So it's kind of like a gel. And you can get one that's got
tried that before. Yeah.
And I think I can see how like some people would be like, meh, but also there's not sugar in them, so my stomach doesn't go down.
And that's why I tried them, and I liked them in training, but then when I tried them in races, for some reason, I just.
Right.
But it might work for you. You know what it's
this
like.
is a thing. Like on the day, you go like, oh, pot luck, right?
Yeah,
like.
Yeah. One thing
like
we've discovered is the new Easter buns.
We're working our way through.
We're working through all the new flavors that have come out. The Vegemite and cheese Easter bun, believe it or not. No, that's
really. What about apple and cinnamon?
That apple and cinnamon one is good.
That was now we're talking. Because it was nice and sweet.
But it's too sweet for me.
Yeah, it was sweet enough for me. I liked it, but not so much for Isabel.
And we have to try the pizza shape flavored Easter bun.
Oh no, so that just sounds so revolting.
So bad I have to try it.
Is that a Baker's Delight thing?
No, it's Coles.
Coles.
No, only Coles that flavour.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
there you go. You could have savoury Easter buns like seriously. Anyway, what I
really not good for anything else.
No, what I find, it's just good to have just a big variety of food.
Yeah, and chicken chips, right? How good is a chicken chippy?
No, see, I can't do chips. It's too much salt. But like when I was doing my 250K run from Bulla to the city, I craved Indian.
Right?
Indian? Yeah, go figure.
Really?
And when I did the 290-kilometer run, you got me Thai satay stir fry.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Oh my goodness.
And
well, I would never forget
a bag of noodles, and I'm like,
I will never forget seeing you running along with a hot meat pie at Costa Cozzy and taking a few nibbles and then putting the rest of the hot meat pie in your pocket and running along with a hot meat pie in your pocket. I was like, what is she doing? The delirium set in.
No, that was all part of my nutritional plan.
And it actually was. And that was like part, I was like, oh, hang on a minute.
Nothing like pulling a meat pie out of your pocket and eating it and putting it back in.
Goodness. I don't know.
But I think you must have to show you can eat anything,
Oh, look. Yeah.
You've got to try everything.
Whatever works.
That's it.
That's just getting the calories in at that point, isn't it?
100%.
Also, it means that we find meat pie in the washing for the next couple of weeks as well. Wondering how it got there.
Actually, that was a really good meat pie.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
The general store in Cathcart, I think.
I would.
Yes, that's what it was. It really was. The general store.
I remember thinking it was a bloody good pie.
Yeah. Really good pie. Yeah. For anyone who happens to be in Cathcart.
Yeah.
They were doing a roaring trade too. They were selling hot pies by the dozen.
Well, it was because it was also quite it was hot during the day, but it was really cold at night, wasn't it? So, having a hot pie, we can't remember.
I don't know. I just remember how shit I felt. So that's all I remember.
I don't think you're really supposed to feel great that many hours and Ks into a big run though, right?
No. And that's it. I mean, you've got to prepare yourself mentally for that as well. But, that's also what the support crew is there for, not just the drivers, but the pacers and everybody, is to keep you, mentally off, not engaged with how bad you're feeling, but more engaged with other things, Yeah,
absolutely. And look, at the end of the day, as much as this is sort of my adventure in many, many ways, I do think a big part of it, right, is that I just hope that it brings awareness to the fact that our local hospitals are where these funds need to go, right? So at the end of the day, it's going to be uncomfortable and all the rest of it, totally. But it feels quite small in comparison to the bigger picture.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And on that, which is a great spot to leave it, thank you so much, Em, for coming on. And what I'll do is I'll put all the details of the run in the show notes. And can I put for people to follow you on social media?
Yeah, please, at Run Joy Melbourne. Absolutely. Follow along.
Yep. So I'll get all the links for that. And people will want to follow along. And certainly if there's a tracker, that would be awesome at some point.
Yes. Imagine.
Will people be able to follow you on the tracker, or is that just for you?
Well, that's the idea. Like, I'm thinking that if we can have one that people can log into and sort of see, how I'm going and hopefully see me running in a tutu if I get that 30 grand.
That would be awesome.
Feel free to throw your money at the cause, guys. All your money.
Good luck with your run, and maybe we can have a follow-up afterwards and debrief on how it all went.
Yeah, that'd be great. And we can talk about what I actually ate rather than what I planned to eat.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Yes, which will be interesting.
Yeah. If you can.
Thanks, guys. And I'm really
hoping she'll have
seeing
eaten
you
a
out
bacon
there.
and egg McMuffin, but we'll see.
Oh, mate, it's not going to happen. You're just going to have
There'll be
to let
lots
it
of
go.
McDonald's. You'll pass
Hey?
a lot of McDonald's, I'm telling you.
Oh, I probably will pass a few McDonald's. Yep. Maybe they can at least throw some coffee at me or something. I think I might be needing.
That's
caffeine
true.
at that
That's
point.
true. All righty. Well, good luck with everything and with your
Thank you.
preparation. And
Thanks
with
for having me.
catching up with you afterwards.
See you later.
Sounds good. See ya.
Bye.